If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my. I done been around the world.
Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NBA Player Performance on this Friday, March 28, 2025. One of the best Fridays of the year. I said it yesterday about Thursday. This is part two. NBA Sweet 16, MLB Opening Day Part 2. Good day on the show yesterday. For you guys who tailed the show, 9-2 in game leans. We did go officially 2-1 thanks to a pretty egregious effort by the Rockets. Not thrilling in the least. Yesterday on the show, Luke cashed 4 tickets in MLB. He probably won another 20 off the air. The guy is a certifiable legend. Luke, it's Friday. What's going on?
Best energy ever. Shark and I are on the air. We're ready to rock. MLB cooled off a little later in the day. We were still profitable on day one. Going to be profitable again today, I have no doubt. But yeah, I have to start off with it. Of course, we gave out some prop losers yesterday on some of the leans, but Josh Giddey gets it done. Not only does he cash the best bet by a mile, he had 11 assists. We went over 8.5. Hope everybody smashed that. He also hits a game winner, half-court shot. What the hell? That was impressive. Impressive stuff. And that actually brings us to, we'll admit when we lose, 100%. But this is a 6-0 best bet run for props on live shows. We're looking for 7-0 today. So I'll give you guys that later in the show. I want to get to 7-0 for the crowd. We got to do it.
Yeah, speaking of that shot, I actually wasn't following the game. I saw the highlights after the game. We had said on the show, we thought Chicago would get that dub. Of course, Lakers back-to-back. But talk about a melt in the fourth quarter. 44-26 Chicago, 11 threes in the fourth quarter. Giddey, probably the best moment of his career. You got to shout to the guy. He's getting all sorts of shade off the court. He gets moved off Oklahoma City. I like to see people succeed. We hope you guys are having a great day. Fridays are for freedom. NBA Player Performance starts now.
I live the bright lights, the type, the crowd lights, where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they want a Billy, they pay to come see me, where you at, ballers?
Ballers and legends tonight, divisional basketball in Cleveland. First game on the card, a big conversation here. Fourth matchup of the year, Cavs, Pistons. We said it yesterday, Cavs will not cover night one of a back-to-back. Had to play the Spurs. Played lackluster, won by 8, didn't cover. Now they come on the road. Big line, a lot of moving parts. Cade Cunningham probably not playing tonight, which I think is problematic for Detroit. We're trying to figure out if Donovan Mitchell is going to play. Luke, props are very dependent on this, and you're looking, I believe, at Garland if he doesn't play.
There's a lot riding on this with Mitchell is in or out. We don't have an update on that, so you guys have to follow this closer to game time. But we can give you some leans on what we do, whether he's in or not. It looks like the line movement shows that he might be out. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Shark, but the line's shifting towards Detroit by quite a substantial number. So I have a feeling he's sitting out. It's a back-to-back. Cavs are kind of just slowly prepping for the playoffs. Mitchell's not playing great. Heading into yesterday, I actually told Shark, Donovan Mitchell was shooting 16%. 16 from 3 for the whole month of March with 8 shots a game, like a huge sample size. So I think he's really just on coast mode here. They're going to try to get to the 1 seed and get into the playoffs healthy. So anyways, all that to say, last night my lean was Jarrett Allen. He absolutely, I hope you guys tailed that. He had a monster game. Allen put up 29 points, 15 rebounds to cash both of those lines for us. I'm not going Allen tonight because there's a chance Evan Mobley might show up and play in this one. So I like Darius Garland to go over his lines for points, rebounds, or assists. Really like the scoring aspect if Mitchell's out for Darius Garland. So you have to keep an eye on that. But an official lean would be DeAndre Hunter. I'm going rebounds here, Shark. This is kind of a weird play, but DeAndre Hunter, under 4.5 rebounds. That's Hunter under 4.5 because Mobley and Allen are likely both to play tonight. I just don't see Hunter getting on the boards a ton. He's not a huge rebounder in general, likes to play on the perimeter, knock down the threes. Obviously a good defender, but that's Hunter under 4.5 rebounds for a lean.
Yeah, no, I think that's a decent take. Obviously, the guy plays on the perimeter quite a bit as well, so he's probably not going to be banging down low. And as I mentioned, this game is highly dependent on Cade Cunningham. I think he's probably out. Last I saw, he was doubtful, and he hasn't played in the previous 2 games. And you want to buy Detroit. I mean, obviously Detroit is a huge buy team. One of the more surprising teams in the league, if not number one, in my opinion, this year. This is actually a 12x revenge game. Cleveland has dominated Detroit. And the last time they played, it looked like Detroit was finally going to get a W. It was tied in the fourth quarter. Darius Garland, walk-off three-pointer at the buzzer. This game tonight, I honestly think could go Cleveland's direction. Cade has been such a high determinant of the success for Detroit. He did score 38 points in that game we just mentioned. If I had to lean any direction, I think Cleveland probably does get them tonight. But I do think Detroit will win a game in this matchup next season, and we will be here for it. I'm sure playing Detroit.
So that means next season we're going to be on here talking about a 13x revenge game. I love it. That's good stuff.
We'll have to clip this. We'll be back here. It'll probably be October or November. We'll just say, play the tape, Burnsy. It'll be us talking about this pre-April 2025. But keeping it moving here, 7:30 out of conference basketball in Brooklyn. Clippers, Nets at 7:30. This game is actually fairly interesting for one particular reason. The last time these teams played, the Clippers beat the Nets 126-67. That is a 59-point blowout. And that particular week, we talked about this game, and I actually referenced a game that the Memphis Grizzlies, I believe, beat the Thunder about 3 or 4 years ago by like 73 points or something. The revenge game to that 73-point game, OKC actually covered. And I think that's interesting. So are the Nets tonight going to get beat by 59 and now come back and cover? I got some ideas on this, but look, any thoughts?
I might just have to dish you this game because I do not like this game for props because I'm looking at the first game. It's just there's really not a lot of data for props to go off of. I don't love the matchup here, but I'm going to give a shout out to the chat. You guys hit us with your questions, hit us with your comments. Hopefully we'll have time for some Q&A at the end, but we appreciate your interaction. For example, up above, Dylan T81, appreciate you calling me Bunt Master. We got Prop Master. We've got one pump, two pump master. We got Bunt Master. We're trying to do it all. I appreciate you. You said you got on our MLB date prop pass. Love that. We got 6 plays for anyone that's interested on MLB, but of course this is an NBA show. Shark and I do it all. We got NBA, MLB, football in the fall. We love you guys. Keep interacting in the comments, and I'll leave it at that. I want to hear your breakdown of this game, Shark. If I had to do a very, very small lean, I would go with someone like Zubats tonight, the Clippers center, over points and rebounds. It was at like 28.5 earlier in the day, just because he's been a beast playing for the Clippers. But I have a hard time getting to any Nets props in this game. So you tell me where it's at after the 59-point blowout.
Well, if I'm going to give you guys a look at this game, and I might lean this direction, it's such an ugly take on Brooklyn. I had to bring out the prettiest Brooklyn hat of all time to balance the ticket here. How gorgeous is this hat? But I actually am leaning towards Brooklyn, particularly at this steam point, plus 13. And I have the game projected, the Clippers to win by 10 or 11 points. And this is really just a unique psychological environment. As I said, 59-point loss. And we've been talking about a bunch of these teams at the back end of the standings here, just completely tanking. It's Toronto, Washington, Utah, Brooklyn, Charlotte, others. The only teams that have actually competed reasonably well in this window who are not going to make the playoffs are actually Brooklyn and Toronto. And what's the similarity there? They both have foreign coaches. And I think that's a really important point. Jordi Fernandez and Darko Rajakovic just care more. They have something to prove every single time their team steps on the court. And we're going to have the same conversation when we talk about the Raptors game in a few minutes here. I just think there's such a bigger dog in the room with these foreign coaches. I think they're disrespected. They have more to prove. They don't take games off. They kind of have a player mentality when they step in the locker room. And I've seen some of the speeches that Fernandez has given to this group. I think they're very inspiring. And I think their margin losses are not so much because of a coaching problem. It's just the roster. But inevitably, when you lose by that much, you're going to come out with something to prove. These are young players on Brooklyn. They are capable players. Of course, they are in the NBA. I just think this game is going to fall inside of 11 points. And one final point on this. this is a really bad spot for the Clippers. The Clippers just blew out the Knicks. They scored over 70 points in the second half. Now you got to stay in New York City for 2 nights. There are certain players on this team, namely James Harden, notorious for enjoying nightlife in big cities. You take care of the Knicks with emphasis. You got to play this Brooklyn team who you already beat by 59. Dinners, nightclubs, strippers. James Harden, how was it, bro? But now you got to play the Nets. It's a trap game and final point. Next game, they play at Cleveland on Sunday. So you talk about a sandwich trap game. This is it. If you guys are taking this game, just take plus 13, hold your nose, wear a beautiful hat, and let's cash. Go to the next game. As I mentioned, we're talking foreign coaches on non-playoff teams in the East. Raptors, north of the border, hosting the Hornets. Our guy in the chat wants to talk Raptors. We see you, Nathan. I didn't even realize you were from Canada. Well, we got a good game for you tonight. Maybe not so much from an entertainment standpoint. I think tickets are going for about $5 in the secondary market. But this seems to be where Toronto, similar to what I said about the Nets, is actually playing good ball when they should be losing games to improve their lottery status. It's a heavy line tonight. LaMelo Ball is not playing. Luke, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is actually an interesting game. You can find some spots in the prop market here. Quick shout out to CT Crunch in the chat. Said he made over $1,500 last night off less than $200 from the picks on this show. Love it, CT Crunch. Send us your tickets if you want. We love celebrating with you guys. It's why we do the show is to connect and with good energy and make money. We've got multiple people in the chat that are attending this Raptors game tonight. Love our Canadian friends. Appreciate you guys. Where I'm heading with this game in the prop market is a couple small leans. I like Mark Williams on the rebounding total to get over 9.5. Toronto's kind of, playing different guys. They're trying different lineups. I don't think Pirtle's a huge presence because he's getting limited minutes now. They have younger guys. Mark's going to try and dominate the paint tonight. So I like Williams over 9.5 rebounds. And just because you guys asked for, a couple small leans in this game to dial up a parlay, if I had to go a couple other things, you could look Daquan. That's right. Daquan Jeffries, Hornets, over 1.5 made threes. The guy's been shooting a lot. He's getting a lot more playing time. No LaMelo Ball to chuck threes. Someone else has to chuck threes. Daquan Jeffries going to be that guy. I think he makes 2 to 3 threes tonight. That's good value there. It's plus money. Plus 130. Great thing to plug in a pizza money parlay. And then the last play. This is the reason this game's entertaining for a basketball fan is it's a lot of young guys. Both sides of this game, a lot of young players trying to prove themselves for future roster spots. Jacoby Walter is another one for the Raptors. I actually had him as my max play 2 nights ago. For whatever reason, I swear they knew something here, Shark. The coach didn't play him. He's been playing like 20-plus minutes a game. I max play him, and he sits out. Of course, it's voided. We didn't lose the bet. Next game, he goes off. We knew it was coming. I'm not going to max play him again tonight, but I do like Walter to go over about 15.5 PRA if he gets that minute share tonight. So I'll stop rambling. Few leans there, few young guys. I love it. Hopefully that dials something up for you guys in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, Jacoby Walter, I mean, you remember even going back a couple of weeks, he had a buzzer-beating game. I forget who they were playing, but I mean, just incredibly impressive stuff. And, this is the beauty of the Raptors right now. And I know I didn't realize we had so many guys from Toronto in the chat, but our guy said sit in nosebleeds. Are they paying you to come to the game to sit in the nosebleeds? Is that a subsidy? They're like, here, come. We'll pay you $20 to fill the seats and enjoy some free beer up top. But in terms of this game tonight, it really is what I said about these foreign coaches. Like, the Raptors are supposed to be tanking games, and they're coming in off 2 blowouts of teams that they should be losing to. They're supposed to lose to Washington to improve their draft status. Let's win that one. And then they absolutely hammered Brooklyn in the previous game by 30. So the point here is it's just Darko Rajakovic. You guys in Toronto know about him. He's probably not that well known across the league. He doesn't really get a ton of press. But mid-season, when we were talking about him on this show, I referenced when I first became aware of this guy last year. It was a game the Raptors played against the Lakers, and he was just absolutely furious after the game and basically called out the refs for rigging the game against him. And something had, I believe in the fourth quarter, like the Lakers had like 25 free throws and then got the win because of the refs. But the fact that this guy, as a rookie head coach in the NBA, had the dog mentality and the fearlessness to call out the league just speaks to this guy's mental makeup.
Against
and then
LA
earlier
too, like against the Lakers,
I know. And that's when I became alert to who this guy was. And then earlier this year, there was a game he was playing at Memphis, I believe. He went like full scale old school Jeff Van Gundy, got on the court, like trying to like brawl with the players. I was like, this dude is just a legend. And I actually, when he first got hired, I was surprised. I was like, who is this guy? Like, why? Like, I was kind of like contemporarily thinking like, why are we going overseas? Like, who is this guy? He's going to connect with the American players. I get it now. He's a fucking dog. I mean, look, like
this might be a hot take, Shark.
Yeah.
And I'd actually be curious your opinion on this. I think because of his coaching mentality and they do have some young athletic talent. I think next year they're a team to at least watch for. I think they should be on people's radar heading into next season in the fall. I don't know if anyone else is thinking that, but I think it's a low-key hot take. This Raptors team could be all right if they make a couple moves next season.
Yeah, early season when I was watching this before, of course, they've shut down a lot of their players. I forget who it was, but some commentator made, I thought, a pretty intelligent comment. He said they're losing with purpose. And I think that really does dictate to what you're saying. That next year they're going to be a big buy team. And, of course, you could make cross-reference points across the sleeve with any two teams. But I think this reminds me to a certain degree of what we saw with Detroit last year. Detroit was terrible. They missed the playoffs. They had an extremely long losing streak, but they had a lot of talent on the team. And then all of a sudden they exploded. And these teams that come kind of out of nowhere, they're like this. They're well coached. They have young talent, and then they just pop out of nowhere. So I totally agree. And our guy in the chat says, Je me souviens. Little French. I remember. What a beautiful comment on a Friday. I took French in high school. I do remember that. I remember that I remember in French. Unbelievable stuff here. But in terms of the game, I would only lean towards the Raptors. LaMelo Ball's not playing. This Charlotte team on the road without LaMelo is an absolute gas can. You saw them get beat by almost 50 points in Portland. Actually, by more than 50 points in Portland. 53 points in Portland. This is just one of those teams that, particularly on the road, can just get their ass handed to them. And as I said, Darko's not taking games off with these guys. So we would lean towards the Raptors in this game in Canada at 7:30. And that is that. Keeping it moving here, coming back south of the border. Big time stuff, 8 o'clock in Milwaukee. Bucks, Knicks, part 3. I dropped an official on this on Instagram. If you guys are following Instagram, please follow. If you're not, I should say. Big play here for me and Luke. You're looking at a prop third-string point guard for the Knicks. I don't even know his name. Who is it?
So, yeah, we're going to go with Tyler Kolek. But I have like 3 solid plays in this game, Shark. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go after this. I'm going to go after this game real quick. The first official free play is actually Karl Anthony Towns. I dropped this early morning. His line was at 24.5 points. I think it's moved up now to 26.5. So we get really good closing line value for all my guys in the free Telegram thread who picked this up early, which is a reminder, link in description for the 3 threads if you guys want to get our lines as soon as we post them in the morning. Anyways, Cat's facing this Bucks team. There's nobody to stop him, honestly. Like, Brook Lopez is way too slow on the perimeter. Like, Cat can beat him off the dribble. Cat can shoot threes. Lopez sinks into the interior. Bucks just gave up 39 to Jokic last game. And there might not be Giannis tonight. Like, even if there is, I'm not worried. He's a good rim protector, but Lopez is not a good matchup for Cat. And Towns is coming off a 34-point game. He's loving I'm loving his aggression in the last 7 games. He's covered this line in 5 of them. The least points he's scored in the last 10 games is 21. So he's always at like 20 to 35 points. My models have him for 30 plus tonight. So that's Karl Anthony Towns. Good advantage on the line. Over 24.5 for my full breakdown. But you said it. Really random value in tonight's game. So I got to get here. Tyler Kolek. If none of you know him, he's a rookie out of Marquette. I'm playing for the Knicks. He made the roster. He was in the G League for a bit. Little point guard out of Marquette. Again, so there's a couple caveats here. There's value in his line based on the numbers. So Cameron Payne is out. Jalen Brunson's out. The Knicks have no point guard. Tyler Kolek is going to get minutes tonight, and he's going to step in, and he's not afraid to dish the ball. I actually love his points and his assists tonight, and the narrative behind this, Kolek played at Marquette. You know where they're playing tonight? Pfizer Forum. Kolik's played in that gym his whole college career. He's comfortable there tonight. I actually really love Kolik. He's on my VIP card, but I'll give you guys it for free tonight. I love his assist line. I grabbed that at 6.5 over tonight. I honestly think he'll have 10 plus assists pretty easily. And then I haven't seen him score the ball super effectively yet, but his line has value at 6.5 points over as well. So Tyler Kolik, didn't think you'd hear it today, Shark, did you?
When I woke up this morning, I didn't know who that was. So the day's been already great because I know who Tyler Kolik is. And now let's cash that ticket. But my official play in this game is my top free play of the day. Love this play. We cashed it yesterday. We cashed the Thunder blowout. Let's do it again. Take the Bucks at +1. Said in the chat, I got Bucks like Milwaukee because like Sam Cassell. You guys know who that rapper was? Type it in the chat. Maybe we'll make this the ride or die today. If you guys know who said that in that rap song, type it in the chat and we will see who knows rap. But
and don't forget, a Sam Cassell reference has to come with a little. I can't show my lower portion on this, but he used to do the big ball celebration, if you remember, where he just does the big nuts hanging down. It's too good. If you haven't seen it, look up Sam Cassell big ball celebration. It's too funny.
So it's another good trivia question. Do you know where he went to college?
I should know that as a diehard Bucks fan growing up, and I do not know.
Florida State.
Really? Look at you dropping French knowledge on us, Sam Cassell knowledge on us. Well done, Sharky.
It must be the hat. This hat is just enlightening me with all sorts of insane knowledge here on a Friday. But speaking of good knowledge here, let's talk some Bucks here. If you guys know the rapper, Matt Austin, welcome to the party. You are on it there, my guy. But this is just where you want to buy this team. Third matchup of the year. Only 2 games played this year were both played in New York, which I think is important. We've talked about this with a couple other matchups where for whatever reason you get 3 or 4 games and one team only gets 1 at home. It takes on a totally different motivational environment. And I really think on Friday night it's going to be big time in Milwaukee, particularly because the Bucks got absolutely hammered twice in New York. 116-94 back in November, and really egregiously on January 12th, 140 New York, 106. But I think a key point in that game, Jalen Brunson had 44 points. He's not playing tonight. And you look at how the Knicks have performed recently on the road. They have not been very good at all. Just off the top of my head, they took a fairly margin loss against the spread, and they lost outright at Charlotte. Just to give you an example of how incapable the Knicks can be on the road. Actually, 5-12 ATS, last 17 on the road. And if you look at what Milwaukee did in the previous game, they sat pretty much everybody at Denver. I don't know. Obviously, we're not sitting in the locker room, but I think they said to themselves, we're fatigued. We're coming off a trip. We got a huge game on Friday. Let the guys sit. We'll come out. It's a championship-style game on Friday night. It's a huge game in terms of the conference. It's a game for professionalism, for pride. It's a revenge game, 2 times, 2 blowouts, and now actually favored at open. This got steamed across. This open at -1. And final point on this, Milwaukee needs games. They are stuck right in the middle of the playoff race in the East. They're only a half game ahead of Detroit, and these teams don't want to drop in the standings. The Knicks are a little more comfortable. The Knicks have a little more space in terms of where they are. So this is a huge, huge game for Milwaukee tonight. Take Milwaukee at +1 and let's cash. 8 o'clock National, Wolves hosting the Suns in Minnesota, Target Center. Suns getting a big number here, +6.5, +7.5 now. This is an interesting game as well. 4th matchup of the year, and Minnesota has won all 3. I keep saying this with these late season 4th matchups. It's hard to beat a team 4 times in a row, particularly with players on the roster of the quality of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Honestly, I would lean towards the Suns in this game for that reason. Luke, any props?
Yeah, I have a small lean here. It's probably an unpopular pick. It's a non-public pick, which is why I think it's sharp. And so I'm actually fading a Sun though. So it might not correlate with what you're doing in this game. That's fine. I think it actually still could, just the way the Suns are playing. I'm going Devin Booker under 25.5 points as a lean. And the reason you go under here It doesn't mean the Suns will suck. I think if Sharks leaning Suns, they could easily still cover. But Booker's taken a back seat lately. He's letting KD do all the scoring. KD's dropping 30. He's dropping 40. And Booker's shot attempts way down over the last month. His shot attempts, his scoring just really down. And look at the last 3 games. What did he put up for points? Just 14, 17, and 19. I mean, he's not even hitting 20 points. Like, of course, the D-Book can go off any night. I'm not going to deny that. But the under is the value play here. And lastly, his 3-point shooting. He's 2 of 15. He's not seeing the ball go through the hoop. That means an unconfident Booker defers to KD. I am going under 25.5 as a lean.
Yeah, and again, I don't think necessarily the cover is dependent on KD scoring 35. And, in fact, I think it's better off if he doesn't, because oftentimes these teams become so dependent on one player, the team loses their actual on-court flow. You see this across the league. One guy scores a ton of points, the team loses and doesn't cover. So you want the ball spread around. And I just truly think at this point, getting 7.5, this is really where Phoenix is going to show up. They need the game more than Minnesota, to be perfectly honest. They're hovering outside of the play-in tournament. They have turned up a corner recently, 5-2 straight up last 7. Minnesota is also not in good form since Julius Randle's back in the rotation. 1-3 straight up last 4. And I think pretty noteworthy stuff here. 2 losses versus Indiana. One on the road, they got blown out. The other one, they lost at home without Halliburton in the lineup. Just a total flat effort. And they also somehow managed to lose to the Pelicans at home recently. So these have been bad losses. And I just think that there's just no business for Minnesota to be laying this type of number against Phoenix, given the current situation of the desperation of Phoenix. And, final point on this. The only time that Minnesota played at home against Phoenix this year, it was all the way back in November. They did lay the same number, minus 7.5. They did not cover the spread, 120 to 117. And that's kind of where I see this game. I think this game is just going to be tight. I don't think that Minnesota necessarily loses outright. I just think this game is going to be somewhere inside of 7.5 points. So if we're leading this game on the show today, I think that the Suns are the correct side in this game. Staying course here, 8 o'clock in New Orleans. Speaking of New Orleans beating Minnesota in recent history, I don't know if they can beat the Warriors tonight, but I think this is highly dependent on Steph Curry. We're not entirely sure if he's playing or not. Obviously, 3rd game of a road trip. The Wolves have looked terrible without him, getting beat by 9 in Atlanta and getting just absolutely blown off the court in Miami in Jimmy Butler's return game. This game is going to be tough. Obviously, we're waiting on Steph. Luke, any thoughts?
This is actually the second game on the card that I just really don't love for the prop market. I have it circled for really nothing on the VIP card. I can give some leans though, and I'm actually curious if it correlates with how you see the game. I'm looking at Pelicans overs. Like that seems shocking, but the numbers are saying New Orleans overs. So guys like Jose Alvarado, they're having to step up and play a lot of minutes. I'd lean his over in 12.5 points. These are light leans. And then the other one is Hawkins. He's getting a lot more playing time. His line is 16.5. That's almost shocking for someone who would have no idea who this guy is. But I would lean over. That's the numbers, the book's telling you that a guy like Hawkins, not a household name, is supposed to put up 17 tonight. Like, sign me up for that value. We follow that. That's kind of how we see trends. I didn't expect when I looked at this game to see New Orleans overs. But that's where the value lies if I had to lean. Does that have anything to do with the game or the game total here, Shark? Like, what are you seeing?
I see the total incredibly sharp. I see right around 222, 223 points. I think there's not much movement off the previous line. The previous time these teams played, you got to go all the way back to the fall. There was a cluster of games. They played 2 games in October, actually, both in Golden State, October 29th and 30th. They played an NBA Cup game November 22nd in New Orleans, 112-108 Dubs. The data in this game is completely ambiguous for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you have to go back months, and things have changed immensely for all these teams, or both teams. But even more so than the average team, the Jimmy Butler trade has been huge. And we've detailed this every time we talk Pelicans. How many injuries could the Pelicans possibly have this year? I mean, you don't really have a read on this game. The line's not giving you really any story. In terms of the actual on-court dynamic here for the Pelicans, as you were saying, I think you just want to buy the overs and the points for all these guys that are playing for them, because the market cannot adjust quickly enough to some of the outputs these guys are putting on record. Like, even if you go back to the previous game, Pelicans' most recent game, they beat Philadelphia at home 112-99. I'll give you the names that all scored in double digits. Like, this is just nuts. I mean, Kelly Olynyk, people have heard of at least, but Keon Brooks Jr., I can't say I'm familiar. Eve Missy, Baylor, I know him from Baylor, but that he's not really like a big time player, obviously. Carlo Matkovic, I had not heard of him until recently, and Antonio Reeves. I have not heard of him either. This is not Reeves on the Lakers. This is Antonio Reeves. I mean, look, do you know who any of these guys are?
I think the only one that I'm like, obviously I've heard almost all these names because I follow props so close, but I don't, the only one that's been consistent all season is he's been playing in a starting role for the year. That those guys are all scoring in double digits. I think it speaks to what you're saying. It doesn't mean the Pelicans are going to perform well tonight. They're like 16-point dogs, but it means that the books cannot simply put enough value on the individual player prop lines for these backup guys stepping in, which is why the overs are more valued. If you guys don't follow, it's an interesting point. So, like, we're not saying the Pelicans are going to dominate tonight, but there's value on their props, even if they're getting completely blown out. So, an interesting take for not something a lot of people would kind of figure, I don't think.
Right. And I mean, like, honestly, like when I started doing the props with you mid-season, like I think one of the first things that I gravitated towards was precisely that. It was finding players on the Sixers who nobody had heard of that were scoring points when the Sixers pretty much gutted their team. Players on Chicago who nobody was looking at when Chicago started to come up in the market. And that's like really how you want to beat the prop market in a really like blanket way. Find guys that are massively undervalued that are going to get a ton of minutes that were not projected into the lines because the books just can't adjust quickly enough. And just elaborating on this, you go back to that game I mentioned against the Sixers, Carlo Matkovic scored 19 points. I mean, 19 points. Your guy Alvarado had 9. Hawkins had 9. Hawkins is actually a very nice buy low tonight because he shot 4 for 14 in that game, 1 for 9 from the 3-point line. So that Hawkins take is great.
It's all about opportunity share. Like Hawkins wasn't shooting 14 times all season. Like his opportunity share is so high. More minutes, more shot attempts. I love to follow that trend. I just want to quick clarify something in the chat too. A couple of guys are saying, T-Wolves -7. Shark and I are not on the T-Wolves. So that is, of course, I think JA did drop a free pick of T-Wolves in his Telegram thread. But you guys that follow the show, when JA is on here, sometimes we disagree. We go back and forth with our takes. So just because JA loves the Wolves does not mean Shark or I love the Wolves. I'm, of course, not on that game as a spread, but I'm leaning Booker under. So that would correlate kind of in either. It could correlate in either direction. But just want to clarify that for you guys. The free picks thread that you're seeing that in, that's JA's pick. Wish he was on the show. He should be back next week, so we can give him some shit or we can compliment him if the Wolves win tonight. So keep that in mind for next week.
Yeah, exactly. That play in the free picks channel is nothing to do with us. If you guys haven't joined our channel, we know we got about 135,000 people in that channel. Luke has about 15,000. I have about 8. Guys, 124,000 people. Come hang out with the Shark and Luke. We are live and ready to go. But that being said, we do disagree on picks, and it's not personal. It's not like us arguing and having disrespect. Just truly just different takes on the game. So do whatever you guys think is right. We give you our analysis here in terms of the 3X revenge, the spot on the calendar, how both teams are playing in form. Jay can give you his take on it as well. I'd be really open to hear his side of it. So we love the conversation. Conversation wins. But just back on this game very briefly, Kelly Olynyk scored 14. Keon Brooks Jr. Luke, do you even know who he is?
I will admit that is the name I do not know. I have never placed a bet or even read an article or anything on Keon Brooks Jr. Where did he go to school? Let's do some trivia. I just pulled it up. He went to Washington. He's a rookie. He's 24 years old. 24-year-old rookie means he either played in the G League for a little while or played overseas because obviously rookies should not be 24. That's a little older than your average rookie. He's 6'7", 210. Looks like he's a forward, small forward. His stats seem to be leaning
He actually had a decent amount of shots in the previous game. He went 4 for 9 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. I mean, that seems like he could honestly improve off that if he gets a few more attempts. I mentioned Matkovic had 19 points, but Matkovic was way too hot from the field. He was 7 for 11. So I actually think in terms of the game dispersion, I think Matkovic actually should be a little more cold tonight. Hawkins should be more hot. Brooks probably kind of on the mean. But the moral of the story is here, the best bets in this game by far are taking all these random players on the Pelicans to score the ball because they're going to score at least 90 points tonight, and they have to get them from somewhere. So it's not like, it's not like a crazy theory here. So over props in the points market for the Pelicans, and the game is just a complete toss. Like this line doesn't speak to either side of the game. So great conversation there, and let's keep it moving. 9 o'clock in Denver. Jazz at Nuggets. Biggest line on the board by a mile. Opened up -16. Now at -18.5. Honestly, this just seems like the Nuggets are due to absolutely throttle somebody. I mean, they've shown it this year. They can score $150 on you if they halfway in their sleep. Luke, any props, overs, anything in this game?
Yeah, dude, this is actually a big play for me. I love the Jazz. So,
wait, you love the Jazz?
Just following their prop. Every game the Jazz are involved in, I find a prop value. I don't know what it is. Of course, they somehow backdoored us at the end of last night's game against the Rockets on the spread. We told you Houston would win. We thought they'd win even bigger. They didn't. Crazily enough, I have no idea how. But last night, I gave you guys Kyle Filipowski over as a strong lean in the game. That smashed. I'm telling you, I love my Jazz props, Shark. I'm going back to the well. For anyone that's followed me in VIP or free picks thread, Filipowski has been a money train for me the second half of the season. His minutes have increased. I talked about opportunity share earlier. He's up to 25 minutes a game. That is up from 12 minutes a game earlier he had 12 minutes a game in December. I mean, he's more than doubled his playing time. As the Jazz are tanking, Filipowski's actually earning himself a contract, in my opinion. I like him again tonight against this Nuggets team because the Nuggets have not played good defense. We have no idea who's even in the lineup yet for Denver. So I'm on Filipowski over. I'll give you a free VIP play here. It's my top free pick of the show. It's over 6.5 rebounds. I have him pegged for 9 or more tonight. No one else on the Jazz team should really be rebounding the ball besides Kessler, and his minutes are trending down. So give me Filipowski over 6.5 boards. Also, if you're looking for something else, I like his point total again tonight. The books are catching up a little bit here, so his line's up to like 14-ish. I would still go over, again, because someone on the Jazz has to score the ball. He's not afraid to shoot the three and get to the foul line. So Filipowski, over 6.5 rebounds. Book it.
You said you love the Jazz. Let me rephrase that for you so you can answer again. Do you love the Jazz to cover this game?
No. If anyone heard that incorrectly, I love making money on Jazz props. I do not love the Jazz themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about that game last night. We had the Rockets at -12.5, and I just want to give you guys a snapshot to how a bet can be correct and lose, and sometimes a bad bet can win. Somehow the Rockets did not cover that game. They won by 11 on a 12.5. They had 23 more field goal attempts in the game.
That's absurd.
In the NBA.
Absolutely absurd.
Absolutely absurd. Not only that, they also had more made threes in the game, and they had more made free throws in the game. Like, for those of you guys that like data and statistics, it is incredibly difficult to not cover a spread when you have 23 more field goal attempts, more threes made, and free throws made. Like, I don't even know how it happened. I mean, Luke, did you watch it?
I actually didn't catch a lot of the game live. So if you're being honest, I have no idea. I'd have to look at like turnovers or like shit like that, because like you'll almost never ever see a team cover with those three things that you just checked as check boxes. I have no clue how it happened.
Yeah. I mean, like this line, I mean, the last time we saw a line in this range, -18.5, it was recently when the Thunder laid, I believe, 20.5 to the Hornets. And
this is wild. Not to interrupt, but
yeah,
I did interrupt. The Jazz also had 7 more turnovers. Like, what? What?
And
If anyone watched this game, I want to know what actually happened. That is, I've never seen that before in all the numbers that I've looked at over the years.
If you ran like a model and you put these numbers into the model with the amount of field goal attempts, made threes, this, and that, and you spit out like 100 outcomes based on the amount of shots and how it played, I mean, Houston should have won the game by 25 points.
Easily. Yeah, that's wild. What a crazy outlier we found. Yeah.
Unbelievable. But last time you saw a line in this range, this minus 18.5 range, it was last weekend, I believe, or somewhere in that time frame. The Hornets were getting 20.5 points at the Thunder. Thunder beat them by like 35. It's just a blowout line. So we would advise you guys on the show, do not lean towards the Jazz here. Play some Jazz, have a glass of wine, and watch the Jazz get their ass kicked in Denver tonight. That's a fast 40 minutes. We got best bets and a beautiful track. Luke, jamming on a Friday. Tell us the best bets.
Oh, can't not jam on a Friday to that vibe. My best bet, I already saved it for the end, so I'm just repeating myself. But Kyle Filipowski over 6.5 rebounds. I do see someone in the chat said that some books have him up to 7.5. That's sharp movement, guys. Getting you closing line value for those that locked in earlier in the day. I still like it at 7.5. Even if it's plus money, I would still go over. I wouldn't smash it as hard. But my official play, if you can get it on a book, 6.5 rebounds, Filipowski over. Book it.
Book it, live it, love it, and let's dominate. My top play for the show, and honestly, this is one of, if not the top 3 plays on the entire card. Milwaukee +1, double revenge, 2 blowouts, sat their players in Denver. Looking ahead to this is really a game 7 for them. They are going to care, and they're going to compete tonight at the highest level. And we want to maybe build a parlay out. We did it yesterday. We cashed it with ease. I mean, honestly, I didn't think it was going to be that easy. We said on here, Indiana might struggle on the back end of a back-to-back. 162 points later, the Pacers did not struggle on the second leg of a back-to-back. And, of course, the Thunder took care of business with relative ease late in the game, and the Kings just shot beautifully and covered that for us. So it was a great parlay for us yesterday. Let's do it. Why the fuck not? It's Friday. It's a good vibe. Luke, you want to start off give us like 2.
Let's build a parlay. So I just want to quick hit on something that I forgot to mention earlier in the show. If anyone's riding the Karl-Anthony Towns 24.5 point over, that's my one play. I usually circle one play each day that I would consider betting a ladder on. If you don't know what that is, laddering up, you can take like Karl-Anthony Towns to score 25 plus points. You can take him like upward of that, like to 25, 26, 30 plus, 35 plus. I really think he drops it on the Bucks tonight. If Giannis is out, he should score 40. So just keep an eye on that. That's the one play I'd ladder. But let's build a parlay. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna start with a fade. I really don't think Devin Booker scores 26 or more tonight. I'm starting with my Booker play under 25.5 points for D-Book. And then you said give 2. So what's my second? Darius Garland. Let's do it. He's such a stud point guard. He didn't play well last night. I have a gut feeling Mitchell might sit tonight. So we could get a little closing line value if he does. If he doesn't, I still like the play. So Garland over 18.5 points is my second one here to build this out.
All right, so wait, Burnsy, are you taking notes on this? Is Burnsy gonna? I should be Jay. I gotta look in the room. Burnsy, you taking notes? What's going on? All right, so we'll assume Burnsy's writing this down. So we have 2 player props. Let's take a couple money lines in here so we can.
Because last night our money line parlay cashed, right, Shark? So
yeah,
you gave a 3-team money line parlay that cashed. I added on the Rockets, so 4-team if you wanted it was plus money. Yeah, let's get some money lines in here. I like it. Who are you looking at?
I like Cleveland to win the game. I do not think they lose. I honestly think that Cunningham is a problem being out. I think I mentioned it before, but the Pistons this year are 2-5 ATS without Cunningham. Their only covers came against real bad teams too. The most recent game against the gutted Spurs and Philadelphia when Philadelphia was playing terribly. So they got 5 non-covers against better competition. There's just no way Cleveland's losing this game tonight. So Cleveland money line, I think we can get minus 240 there. Also, we can really juice this up with some because we're just tacking it onto a parlay here. I like the Raptors to win outright, minus 210. I do not see them losing. As I said, Rajakovic has these guys just playing regardless. He's just like, we're going to beat these teams. I don't care. Let's roll with the Warriors. Actually, I don't love the Warriors. I just feel it's funky if Steph doesn't play. The Pelicans have been scrappy with this BS team. Do not add the Warriors. So let's go Cleveland, Toronto, and that's actually good. I don't really like any other ones. We could add something. We could add the Nuggets. I mean, that just tacks on a little bit of extra, whatever.
Yeah. So how many legs is that officially? Are we up to 5?
That's 5. The Nuggets money line is egregious. It's minus 2,000 I'm seeing, or
guys, I'll tack one more on Shark, because this is like, it's a guy I'm familiar with from watching, college hoops, and now I've watched him in the NBA. I think it's rare where a narrative play really lines up with line functionality. Let's add in Tyler Kolek, over 6.5 assists. I haven't pegged for like 10 plus, which most people would think is nuts. But he played his last couple of games. He played 19 minutes about each game, and he pegged like 7, 8, and 9 assists. Kolek should play like 25 plus minutes tonight. I love that play. So let's add that one in. Tyler Kolek, over 6.5 assists.
All right, so we have that written down. Burns, can you put that in the chat? I think it's okay. Perfect. So we have 5-legger: Booker under, Garland over, Cleveland money line, Raptors money line, Nuggets money line. That's not how you spell Kolek.
That's okay. Yeah, Kolek is Kolek for everyone that's on here. That's okay. Burnsy's doing his work in the back here. He's doing the best he can. I love this 5-legger, Shark. This might be one of the best I've felt about a parlay. Let's cash this for the people.
Yeah, also I honestly think that in terms of a two-team money line parlay, I think the Cavs Raptors is a nice one. What do we have for Cavs Raptors price wise? Can somebody do that real quick?
LOL, Burnsy, give me some easy names like Smith. Yeah, we don't get that in the NBA. We get guys like Matt Kovic and all these tough ones.
Kolic, Colic. I love it.
That's how you spell colic in a baby, and I know that as a new dad. So too good.
So Cavs money line and Raptors money line, I think that's a winner. I absolutely think that's a winner. As I said, the Pistons without Cunningham are just not that team. So the Cavs are not losing this game. And as I said, Detroit will win next fall. I'll give you the date. It'll be November 10th, 2025. See it in the future.
We just created some content. If you hit that, we'll use
November
that.
10th.
Yeah.
All right, so that's enough. Let's do that one. I'll drop that one as my personal. If you want to jump on that as well, I think that's a winner. Cavs Raptors, free play for the show.
I absolutely love it.
Burnsy, what's the number on that? Do we have it? The chat says plus 105,
plus
minus 103 hard rock.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. It's right because they, 2 minus 6 is like
look at this Friday energy. You guessed November 10th. That is one of our followers' birthdays. That's good energy right there.
Don't ask Burnsy to spell that guy's name.
Oh, I love it. Happy birthday.
How do you pronounce
in the
that?
Future here.
Rahish Haderbar? I don't know. I love language. That's what he said. A little French, Spanish, bunch of stuff. We're in here on a Friday. Great stuff. We're going to do Q&A, 5 questions. If you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. Burnsy, questions.
Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
All right, we got 4 or 5 questions here. Starred. First one, we're looking at Mark Williams, PRA over.
This is an interesting one. This does not correlate with our Raptors money line play, but you guys know me. If you follow me, I'm a big Mark Williams guy in certain spots. We've cashed on him. I think it's over 65% rate when we take him this season. I'm on him again tonight in rebounds, so I like his rebound total. I don't mind his PRA here because when LaMelo's out, he does tend to be more aggressive on offense, and sometimes he'll have off games where he's just like they sit him for a while, extended periods. But if I'm leaning on something, it is the over here for Mark Williams PRA. Ponzu, I like what you're dialing up there.
Yeah, I mean, talk about what we said, going back a couple months. This Mark Williams prop has been a buy low for months, really. I mean, obviously crazy. He was supposed to be traded to the Lakers. He came back, but, he's a professional. He's playing good ball. He was injured, I think, significantly for the last, year and a half. So definitely a continued buy market there. Next question. Every penny OTL says, what about Kawhi Leonard points? Luke.
That's an interesting one. Let me pull up a couple of my models here because I didn't have Kawhi penciled as a value, but I did tell you earlier today, Shark, when we were prepping for the show, that I liked Clippers players in general. It looked like the Clippers were going to win. His line's at 22.5. It looks extremely sharp to me. I have him projected for 23.7. That is a barely an edge on the over. So I'd lean over, but I'm it's not one that I'd get there on a lot because the Nets could compete in this game. It could be low scoring. It's tough to tell here. So I'd to stay away for me. I just gave you my model shows 23.7. So do with that what you want. I'm staying away.
Yeah, obviously that's sharp. The line, I'm looking at DraftKings now. His line is at 22.5, little juiced at -115. So if you're projecting just over 23, that's why we really love these kind of unknown players because, again, the market's not adjusted. And you see massive gaps and huge upward movement points that have a lot more margin potentially in terms of win rate. So it's going to be tough there. As I said, I'm wearing the Brooklyn hat. This is not some massive banger play. I just think it's actually a nice hat on a Friday. And the commentary in the game we gave to you guys, I honestly think it's just the environment of the game psychologically. Jordy Fernandez is going to have these guys jacked up. 59-point loss, home gym. They're going to compete. So I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight all around in that game.
Shark, I have to butt in. This is good. H-Town legend 78. He's a loyal follower of the show. This is good. How do we not think of this? It's your hometown Knicks, my hometown Bucks tonight. And what's funny is when we broke down the game, we're actually on opposite sides. Sharks play is Bucks +1, right? And I'm on some of the Knicks props. I like Karl-Anthony Towns over his points. I like Kolek over his points and assists. Just a funny take there. Thank you for pointing that out, H-Town. Good stuff.
Yeah, and we've talked about this when Jay was talking about the Miami Heat and everything, and I said on the air, the Knicks have kind of lost me a little bit. I can't lie. You go back generations, the Knicks have just managed players so poorly. They've drafted terribly. They've made such egregious mistakes with personnel. And you guys know, I'm a thinking person. So I look at it and I don't really respect what they did for 2 decades as a team. So you can lose your fandom to a certain degree. I'm not rooting for some other team, with, blood and tears here. But I'm definitely not as die hard as I once with the Knicks. So J.A. is loving the Heat. Luke's with the Bucks. I'm a Knicks fan. I was born in New York, in New York City. Love the city. Shout out to you guys in the city. If anybody's from New York City in the chat, say what's up. I was born 63rd Madison, right in Midtown on the east side. Love the city. I wish I was there right now. We go to the Brooklyn game. We put 5 dimes on it with J.A. Maybe a little less for us, but
that's good stuff. And yeah, the Knicks have turned into the Nova boys. They got 3 Villanova Wildcats on the roster. So I actually like them for that reason. The Nova guys are really true dogs. But I just hope they can get healthy and make a playoff run because I do think they're a really fun team. Lately, I know you're referencing historically over the last 20 years, but I like their team this year if they could get healthy.
Yeah, I honestly agree. I totally agree. The new Knicks are the best Knicks since the mid-'90s. So I like the current version of the Knicks. But again, it's kind of like if you had a girlfriend and she deserted you for 20 years and then all of a sudden came back looking hot and ready. You'd be like, what about the last 20 years?
You'd still be like, all right.
I'm like, all right, you look great, but 20 years, it's going to take me some time to come back. I need to see a little loyalty here. So, honestly, I'm with the Knicks, but I'm not super with the Knicks. I especially as a bettor too. Every night I'm rooting for some other team. And that's another thing about betting is it kind of takes away your fandom. If you bet really seriously, you're rooting for a different team every night.
Right.
And, with significance too. When we have wagers, I fucking root for that team. I don't care. That's my team for the night,
100% agree. And if you're not doing that, then you're not betting true value. Like Shark and I, we're betting what the line shows us and what the books tell us and what all of these numbers tell us. That's not our home team. Of course, at the end of the day, I'm a Bucks fan. That's where I grew up. no longer live there. But like, I could care less if the Bucks has a bad line. I'm smashing the other team. Like, it's all about value, and I hope you guys know that. But it's fun to have a loyal background. We all have our roots. So we have time for like 2 more questions. 1 or 2 more.
Yeah. Let's go to Anton Palermo says, Luke, they moved DeAndre Hunter's line to 3.5, still under.
Did they? Hot damn. These books, we must be putting out pretty sharp prop lines. It's like 4 prop lines that have moved on the show already since earlier today. So I'd be a little more hesitant. I'm going to be transparent with you. So I'll give you a quick version. What I tell all my clients that ask is, if it's a points prop line in the NBA, I will almost always still take whatever line you can get unless it's like a 4-point gap. When it comes to rebounds and assists, it gets a little more dicey. There's a lot more on the line when you move 1 assist or 1 rebound. That's a huge increase in percentage on the line. So like this, you move 1 full rebound from 4.5 to 3.5. It's almost a 25% movement. So like, I can't say the under is the play here anymore. I would still lean like under, but he should end at like 3 or 4 tonight. So like, that's why 4.5 was so valuable. Hope that makes sense, Anton. It might be more of a stay away at 3 if you're at 3.5. I'd try and find, so you can still odds shop. A lot of books might still have them at 4.5. So maybe look elsewhere, but my official play is 4.5. Hope you can appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a snapshot of the sharpness of these lines. I mean, books are not giving anything away. And that's why finding players that are not really on the court very often are really exploitable, because the books are not very adjusted to where they're going to be. So great comment on that. Let's keep it moving. Stanley Melendez says, Nick Smith Jr. for 3s. What do you guys think? I'll just say, having watched Nick Smith Jr. before Luke gives his official remark here, this guy's really volatile. Like, he can go off and be hot, and he can be ice cold. Like, I've seen him go like, I mean, I don't know if he's ever gone 0 for 10 in the league, but I mean, we've seen like 1 for 8, I believe, from 3.
I've seen 1 for 10. Yeah.
Like, this dude is hot or cold. So look, you think he's going to be hot tonight or cold?
Yeah, you and I followed him, Shark, because he was one of those more, what would you call it? Almost like a niche player when he first came out into this lineup. So his line tonight is actually 2.5. I was thinking it was going to be 1.5. So I have values very slightly on the under. He's projected to make 2 tonight, according to my lines. So, but I'm not very confident in that because of what Shark said. Smith he'll maybe shoot 9 threes. He could make 1 of them. He easily could make 4 or 5 threes. So like, I'd lean under if you're getting 2.5, just slightly. But I did give a better play in that game. I actually like Daquan Jeffries on the Hornets to go over 1.5 threes. He's been a better value play. So not to twist that away from Nick Smith Jr., better play for me is Daquan Jeffries in this game.
Yeah, and honestly, having gone through his games, as we said, he was kind of a niche player. We were trying to buy low on him early season or mid-season. It didn't seem like there was a ton of predictability when he was going to be hot or cold. Like, it wasn't like home or road, fatigue, opponent type, pace, high pace, low pace. Like, it just seemed like it was like any given night. You have no clue what he's going to do. You just know he's going to shoot. He might hit or he might not. We should get Nick Smith on the show and be like, dude, why? Like, what dictates your heat versus your ice? I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, where do you go to college? He's like a pretty big time college player, right?
Oh, where is he? I know his, but it's like yesterday. Like, did he eat a peanut butter and jelly today and he forgot the next day? Like, we don't know. We don't know. He went to Arkansas, which he might be riding his tough loss from the Razorbacks last night. That could affect his shooting tonight, Shark. I don't know. Like,
yeah, he might have had the cognac going last night after that OT loss. I mean, that was excruciating. Yeah, so actually, based on that, Nick Smith is going to be hung over today, so he's not going to play well.
I'm going under as a lean there, if anything. No doubt. I love it.
All right, let's do 2 more. Nikki Too Nice says Denver team total at 129 feels crazy thinking under. I will say this. Let the line tell you a story. Usually when it's high for a reason. Books are not saying, hey, guys, take the under. We missed it today. Here's your free money on the under. And it's kind of what we said about the game. The Jazz just don't play an ounce of defense. We said this yesterday. When the Jazz give up 140 points to Memphis 2 games ago, take note of that. They give up 140 points to Memphis at home, at altitude, where usually they play good defense. And that wasn't Ja Morant. That was honestly a lot of the role player, bench players for the Grizzlies, just lighting them up. And if you actually look at how Denver has scored the ball at home, even just in March alone, They put up 149 against Phoenix in overtime, but it did go over 129.5 in regulation. They played a game at Oklahoma City. They scored 140 points on Oklahoma City on the road. OKC's a good defensive team, and Denver put a $140 on them. They put up 131 against the Lakers at home. Last game, they scored 127. I honestly would lean to the over. Luke, any thoughts?
I was going to lean just to you in this sense because I don't follow team totals closely. But I would agree with what you said. Like, the books put it high for a reason. You got to lean over here in this spot. The only thing that's hard about it is the unknown Nuggets lineup. Everyone's questionable, questionable or probable. I assume most of the big guys will play tonight, but for that reason, I also don't have Denver props on my card tonight. Just too much unknown. So yeah, I guess I would agree with you. Simply functionality-wise, the over would probably be the play, even though it feels like an outlandishly high number.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk an outlandish number or not? Let's talk Karl-Anthony Towns over under 26.5.
Oh yeah, so that was one of my official free plays, Thomas. If you didn't catch it early in the show. Or it looks like you did. You're just wondering, would you still take it at 26.5? I would still go over here. Cat, I have projected for 30 plus. Of course, he needs to get his shot attempts up. But if Lopez is the sole protector at the rim, Cat should eat tonight on the perimeter and driving to the hoop. So yes, I like it over still there.
All right, last one. Joey Millette. 2 questions in one. Really being opportunistic here with the questions. KD over 5.5 rebounds. Tyus Jones over 3.5 assists.
Ooh, these are good. So I actually, to be honest, I like the overs on both of these. It kind of correlates with how we broke down the game earlier. KD can get rebounds still in this lineup. I've taken his over on my VIP card quite a few times. Second half of the season, it's cashed pretty regularly. I think he could get upwards to 7 to 8 rebounds tonight fairly easily, as long as they can play good enough defense against the Wolves to force misses. For Tyus, though, I actually really do like the over here. His assist numbers have been down. I don't have it pulled up currently. Down lately, I think he's averaging like 4 or so in the month of March. But earlier in the season, he was putting up double-digit assists. I mean, Tyus was a great point guard that was dishing the ball with regularity. I think he still averages like 5 to 6 on the year. So, yeah, I'm going over, if anything. It wouldn't take a lot for him to throw it to KD and Booker for a couple of jump shots and get to 4 here tonight. So I like it.
I like it too. Great show. An hour and 2 in the books. Luke, how many plays did you drop?
Oh, we had a lot of officials.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's put them on record here. We already did best bets. We got a bunch of stuff. We know people are listening. We have 2 parlays. Moneyline parlay, Cavs and Raptors. Really like that one. Plus 105 or minus 103, Hard Rock, Florida. And a 5-way parlay. Kolich over points, Garland over points, somebody under points, Raptors, Booker under points, Raptors money line, Cavs money line, and Nuggets money line. And look, just run them down real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can go rapid fire. We gave so many plays today, but I actually like a lot of them. So we're going quick. We went Garland over 18.5 points, DeAndre Hunter under 4.5 rebounds. I didn't like the Clippers-Nets game. I went Mark Williams over 9.5 rebounds, DeQuan Jeffries over 1.5 made threes, Karl-Anthony Towns over points, that's 24.5. I went Tyler Kolek over 6.5 assists, Devin Booker under 25.5 points. We leaned Pelicans players overs in general, that's Hawkins and Alvarado. And then my best bet of the day, Filipowski of the Jazz over 6.5 rebounds. That's a lot of props, but if you listen to the show, a lot of good reasons to take them.
Absolutely. My two official plays for the show, Moneyline Parlay, Cavs, Raptors, and Bucks. Biggest game in a while for the Bucks, in my opinion. Take down the Knicks tonight, 8 o'clock at +1. That's the show for today. NBA Player Performance on Friday, March 20th, 2025. I am the Shark. He is Luke Shuey. J.A. Cavalier back on Monday, I believe. If not, it's all good. We love J.A. We love you guys. Stay strong, stay fast, stay disciplined, and let's dominate.
Book it.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my